provide you with the lowest per GB rates, night or day. SLT 4G, driving you ever forward.
Making headlines on First at 9. Key factor for development. President Maithripala Sirisena insists that advancement in the agro sector will inevitably lead to the development of other industries. Available options. Former President Mahinda Rajapaksa abandons plans to contest the presidency.
And now with the new constitution, I think the Prime Minister is more powerful than the President.
Where the power lies. Chairman of the Sri Lanka Polujano Perumuna airs thoughts on the 20th Amendment to the Constitution.
That is snatching away from the people of our country their sacred right, their franchise.
Tragedy at an unguarded level crossing. 4 persons killed and 3 injured in an accident in Omante. China in crosshairs. Typhoon Mangkut heads for China after passing Hong Kong and lashing the Philippines. A very good evening to all our viewers who joined us here on First at 9, another Derana 24/7 Sri Lanka's news channel. I'm Katharina Chang. Now moving on to your top story tonight, President Maithripala Sirisena emphasises that proper development in the agricultural sector plays a crucial role in the overall development of Sri Lanka. The President made these remarks at the closing ceremony of the 30th Mahaweli Sports Festival today.
The closing ceremony of the 30th Mahaweli Sports Festival was held in Mahaweli grounds in Ambilipitia today under the patronage of President Maithripala Sirisena. President also presented trophies and certificates to the winners at the festival.
We were able to revive the agriculture sector over the past 3.5 years. We contributed to the sector than any other government before us. We must focus on developing the agro sector to ensure the overall development of the country. The industrial sector, production, as well as every other important sector will give us good results if we focus on developing the agro sector.
Meanwhile, the official event to mark the International Coastal Cleanup Day was held under the patronage of President Maithripala Sirisena at the coastal line spanning Indadalla in Galle. In line with the International Day which fell yesterday, the National Coastal Cleanup and Preservation of Oceanic Resources Week was also commenced today. The week was announced as per the instructions of the President.
Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe says that the government should pay more attention in preparing a new set of rules and regulations to protect children and their education, which is pivotal to an early child's development. The Premier made this statement at a ceremony held in Rakwana today.
Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe declared open the children's home at Handali Estate in Rakwana this morning.
The government should at present pay more attention to a particular field. That is the education related to a child's early stage development. Hence, we created a project to build 2,000 daycare centres and educational institutions for children. If we are to create a better generation of youth, we should address children's early stage development. We hope to bring a plan in this regard and expenditures will be done according to the plan. We should prepare a new set of rules geared towards protecting and educating children in their early stages.
Former President Mahinda Rajapaksa says that given the amendments made to the Constitution, it is best to aim for the position of Prime Minister of the country than becoming President. He expressed these views in a recent interview with the South Indian news station Tanti TV during his visit to India.
There is a big debate in India as to whether the people who are involved in the killing of Mr. Rajiv Gandhi be released. What's your take on it, sir?
It's an internal matter because earlier there was a part given to them by the government because it is up to India to decide on that.
Out of the 7 people, 4 people are Sri Lankan nationals. In case if they are willing to come back and live peacefully and settle in your country, will you take them back?
It all depends on if they were released and they ask if they are Sri Lankan. Now, of course they are, but I don't think, I'm not sure about it because I don't want to comment on that.
Sir, if you were not at fault, why did you refuse the international team? Why did you not allow the international team to come inside Sri Lanka and probe?
No, there were people. I mean, now that this government have given, why should the international community is worried about it? Why should we go behind the international one? And we have our own human rights commission, human rights activists. They can go in. Our mistake was this war was taken to an international level, getting involved Norwegians and various other people. It should have been, it's an internal matter.
The present government in Sri Lanka has amended the constitution in order to stop you not becoming the president for the third time.
Yeah.
And they also mock at you saying Mr. Mahinda Rajapaksa's political innings is over. How do you react?
But what happened now? I can still influence the people. And I am in politics. They can't stop me doing politics. They want to stop me, but unfortunately they can't.
What about they spoiling your chance of becoming president for the third time because of the constitutional amendment in Sri Lanka?
Even with the amendment, I can contest. This is what I feel if I want, but I will not. But we will put a candidate who can win. And now with the new constitution, I think the Prime Minister is more powerful than the President.
So, you mean to say that you might be opting to contest for the Prime Ministership rather than being President of Sri Lanka?
Yeah, it might be. It all depends.
Sir, you encourage your family members into politics?
It all depends on who is the best candidate, who can defeat UNP and SLP both together. So we will select the best candidate. It can be from the family, it can be from any, an outsider. So I am looking for a good candidate.
The joint opposition called on the police to continue with the investigation on the abduction and assault of journalist Keith Noya, which they claim the CID has been delaying. Issuing a special statement to media, the joint opposition said it will take legal action if the police does not consider the request. Meanwhile, addressing a media briefing in Colombo today, Parliamentarian Susil Premajanta called on the government to take action against ministers who are allegedly misusing public funds.
Who's responsible for issues of the Ging Nilwala diversion project? The very same government which promised to catch thieves are now claiming that some of their own had taken a commission of $30 million for the project. This was confirmed by the president himself during a speech in Magampura on the 10th of September. He claimed that his own ministers are responsible for the delay in the implementation process of the project and even said that the cabinet paper on the matter is delayed by 4 months. It is the national organizer of the SLFP who is the current Minister of Irrigation. The monthly rent for the Agriculture Ministry's building in Rajagiri amounts to 25.3 million rupees. They didn't use that building for 10 months. That's a waste of 250 million rupees. Isn't this misuse of public funds? And then there's Minister of Agriculture Mahinda Amarveera, who is the General Secretary of the UPFA. He claims he needs to go back to the old building of the Agriculture Ministry and they're going to waste millions on renovation of that building. Why aren't you filing cases against such ministers who are misusing public funds so openly like this? They don't even care about the assassination plot on the president because they aren't really where they want to be. They're focused on bringing somebody else to power during the next presidential election. If they don't take measures to protect the leaders of the country, the next target will be these ministers.
Meanwhile, the joint opposition issued a special statement to media today, accusing the government on purposely avoiding the continuation of the investigation into the case of abduction and assault of journalist Keith Noya. The joint opposition alleges that the government is actively engaged in a surreptitious attempt to create the public perception that the Rajapaksas were responsible for the incident. The statement backed the allegation by highlighting criticisms by politicians representing the unity government, state media and certain NGO activists levelled at the Rajapaksas after former President Mahinda Rajapaksa and former Defence Secretary Gotabaya Rajapaksa gave their statements to the CID during the year. The statement went on to allege that the CID is deliberately ignoring vital clues during the investigation. Therefore, the joint opposition calls on the police to follow up on the line inquiry that reveals itself through the article that Noya wrote on the 11th of May 2008, 10 days before his abduction and assault, and the special statement in Parliament made by former Chief Opposition Whip Joseph Michael Pereira on the 8th of July 2008. The joint opposition went on to emphasize that they will take necessary legal action if they do not receive a satisfactory response from the police to the particular request.
Chairman of the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna, Professor G.L. Peiris, insists that the 20th Amendment to the Constitution snatches the people's sacred right to cast their franchise. He highlighted that the 20th Amendment will transfer the people's right to elect their president to Parliament.
Chairman of the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna, Professor G.L. Peiris, met with the Chief Prelate of the Ramanya sector, Most Venerable Napane Pemasiri Thera, at the Vidyasagara Viharaya in Hurikaduwa yesterday. He also called on the Anunayaka Thera of the Malvatta chapter, Venerable Napane Vijitasiri Thera. Meanwhile, today Professor Peiris met with the chief incumbent of the Gatambe Rajopavanaramiya temple, Venerable Kappetiyagoda Sirivimala Thera.
We are steadfastly opposed to the 20th Amendment for one very clear reason. This has to do with the holding of elections in this country. The government has no illusions about the extent of its unpopularity. The government knows very well that the people of this country are yearning to send them home. So what is the government's response to that? Not to give solutions to problems, but simply to abolish elections. The government abolishes the existing electoral system, saying that it is defective and unsatisfactory. Then they say they want to replace it with a new system. But the new system is never put in place. The only election that cannot be put off in that way is the presidential election. The presidential election has necessarily to be held before November next year. Now the 20th Amendment abolishes the presidential election. So no presidential election also. The effect of that is to transfer to Parliament the right of the people of this country to elect their president. So here, with one stroke of the pen, you have an abolition of presidential elections. We are completely against that. That is snatching away from the people of our country their sacred right, their franchise. So our position is very clear. This cannot be done without a referendum. The people have to be consulted. They have to agree to their franchise being taken away in respect of the most important election of all.
4 persons were killed and 3 were injured in a tragic accident that occurred in Omante this morning. The injured have been admitted to the Vaunia General Hospital for further treatment.
At 10:30 this morning, a train collided into a motor vehicle in Pandirakendrakulam Vaunia railway crossing. The express train was travelling from Matara to Jaffna at the time. However, among the 8 persons, 4 women who were travelling in the vehicle were killed on the spot when the collision occurred. The police said that a 7-year-old boy was able to jump out of the vehicle just moments before the train collided. 9 express trains travel across Pandirakendrakulam in Vaunia on a daily basis. Residents charge that the absence of a railroad crossing gate gives way for motor accidents to take place in the area. However, when other Derana inquired about the matter from relevant authorities, they stated that area residents have resorted to carpet the railway tracks with stones and clay to create a makeshift railroad crossing in an illegal manner. Oman Thai police are currently conducting further investigations into the incident.
The Indian High Commission has refused to grant visa to Northern Provincial Councillor of the Tamil National Alliance M.K. Sivajalingam to attend a seminar in India. The councillor says that his visa application had been rejected due to his involvement in protests on several occasions in India.
Provincial Councillor of Tamil National Alliance M.K. Sivajalingam's request for visa to attend a seminar in India has been rejected by the Indian High Commission. A training workshop for representatives of Tamil local government bodies is set to be held in Hyderabad in India with the participation of 18 provincial council members representing Sri Lanka. According to Sivajalingam, he had lost the opportunity to attend this event due to visa refusal while the others have already left for India. He says that his visa application was rejected due to his involvement in several protest campaigns in India.
The World Patriotic Lankan Forum revealed that it is ready to counter-argue false accusations by separatist elements who have based their claims on the concept of a separate land for the Tamil community. Executive Committee member of the forum, Professor Channa Jayasumana, made these remarks at a media briefing held in Italy.
The government should be the one to protect the country's people, its security forces and other elements when there are allegations against them on an international platform. Unfortunately, our government does not do that. This is why patriotic Sri Lankans living across the world have come together for this initiative to stand up for our country. They will fund this initiative with their hard-earned money. The conflict within the country was resulted and aggravated by separatist intellectuals who claimed that Tamil community needs a separate land. So, we expect to address the session of the Human Rights Council in Geneva and present them what really caused the conflict while presenting counter-arguments to false facts spread across the international community.
Issuing a communique today, Sri Lankan Airlines announced that flight UL880 from Colombo to Guangzhou will be delayed by an estimated 11 hours due to the closure of Guangzhou Airport on account of the approach of Typhoon Mangkhut. The flight is expected to depart Colombo at 1:30 local time on 17 September but could be delayed further according to conditions at Guangzhou Airport. Sri Lankan Airlines further noted that flights across most of southern China have been disrupted by the approach of the typhoon. Passengers in Sri Lanka flying from Colombo to Canton are requested to contact Sri Lankan Airlines Global Contact Centre on 1979 for further assistance. The fifth batch of devotees who won the privilege to take part in the program Dhammadeva Vandana organised by FM Derana today visited the place where Lord Buddha stayed most of his life and the sermon hall where the Dhamma discussions took place. The 90 devotees will travel to the Jetavanarama sacred site tomorrow morning and leave for Nepal in the evening. The program Dhammadeva Vandana organised by FM Derana has now entered into its 6th phase. Let's now cross over to a short commercial break.
You are watching Sri Lanka's award-winning news channel, Derana 24/7.
Chairman of Sri Lanka Association of Software and Service Companies, Jeevan Nyanam, says that Sri Lanka's information technology industry will prioritize data science and artificial intelligence in its drive to sharply increase exports despite facing shortages of skilled people. Speaking at the Sri Lanka Economic Summit 2018 recently, Nyanam added that the IT industry, which currently earns $1.5 billion in exports, has an export target earning of $5 billion by 2022.
Our target is to reach 5 billion by 2022, which means just in the next year, we have to reach about 1.8 billion. This year, if you look at the numbers of what we need to do, we need to, that means we need to go from, about 7,000 graduates that we lost in 2012. We had 7,000 IT graduates coming out. We need to employ about 16,000 people in the industry. I think there's a requirement. There's undersupply of good people, and also what's happening in the IT industry. We see that it's evolving very quickly. So this year we're giving priority. I'm really pushing forward kind of data science and AI. And when we look at kind of the education system in Sri Lanka, this is not being really taught in universities.
Is it too ambitious to have a number like 5 billion?
One of the reasons why I mentioned our focus on data science and AI is that we're looking, if you look at the average revenue per employee today, it's about $24,000 per year. If you look at data science and AI, that could significantly go up, to $60,000 to $100,000 an employee. So where you don't need as much people to reach that 200,000 employee number that we originally spoke about.
Analysts expect the Colombo bourse to have weak turnover levels over the course of the week. Now, during the week, the ASPI lost 1.42%, while the S&P/SL 20 increased by 2.40%. For a detailed report on how the market will perform this week, we have Nisansala Kurupumudali from First Capital Holdings.
Following the heavy decline in the index and the prevailing attractive valuations, we expect some buying interest to come into the market. Turnover levels and activity are likely to remain low, with bulk of the investors waiting for the market to bottom out. Despite uncertainty leaving most investors on a wait-and-see mode, foreign selling pressure that is prevailing is likely to slowly get absorbed, improving confidence levels of the market.
Parts of China on high alert as heavy rains and strong winds from Typhoon Mangkhut began lashing the southern coast. More than 100 people have been injured in Hong Kong, where skyscrapers swayed in the wind and windows were blown out. At least 30 people have already died in the Philippines from Typhoon Mangkhut, but the full impact on rural areas is not yet known.
Mangkhut is considered the strongest storm of 2018 and Hong Kong issued the highest level of typhoon warning today. Mangkhut landed in northern Philippines yesterday, causing havoc where more than 4 million people were in path of the storm, which packed winds of 185 kilometers per hour. Thousands were evacuated amid warnings of 20 feet storm surges. Ahead of the storm, the Hong Kong Observatory raised the tropical cyclone warning signal number 9 to number 10, commonly known as Typhoon 10, which is the highest level of alert. A number 10 warning signal indicates that a typhoon's intensity is expected to reach at least 118 kilometers per hour and gusts may reach 220 kilometers per hour. Hong Kong's air, sea and land public transportation has mostly been suspended. Schools have been closed and hospitals, except for their emergency departments, have also been closed. Meanwhile, in Macau, which is about 1 hour's ferry ride to the west of Hong Kong, also issued the number 9 alert, which is the second highest level of the typhoon warning signal. Thousands of people have been evacuated from Guangdong on the Chinese mainland. Mangkhut is considered the strongest to hit the region this year, packing gale force winds of more than 200 kilometers per hour, equivalent to a maximum Category 5 intense hurricane in the Atlantic.
Meanwhile, in the United States, tropical storm Florence dumped epic amounts of rain on North and South Carolina as it trudged inland, causing at least 12 deaths so far. It also triggered dangerous flooding, power outages in nearly 900,000 homes and businesses.
U.S. East Coast communities face epic amounts of rainfall from Storm Florence, as well as catastrophic flooding since arriving as a Category 1 hurricane on Friday. With floodwaters rising rapidly in many communities, stranded people were being rescued by boat and by helicopter, while tens of thousands of others hunkered down in shelters. Numerous roads were closed and authorities warned of potential landslides, as well the possibility of floodwaters imperiling dams and bridges as rivers and creeks swelled. As of yesterday, about 752,000 people remained without power in North Carolina, along with 119,000 in South Carolina. U.S. National Hurricane Center said Florence, which started out as a hurricane, has now weakened to a depression, but flash flooding and river floods will continue over a significant portion of the Carolinas.
You are watching Sri Lanka's premier news channel, Other Derana.
Sheila Fernando is at the Other Derana Weather Center with your forecast first evening edition.
A very good evening to our viewers and welcome to Forecast First. Starting off with your temperatures for tomorrow that will vary between 20 and 36 degrees Celsius with the highest of 36 expected in Batticaloa. Well, when looking at the map, a low pressure zone will develop in the western province and will gradually disappear. Well, moving on to your rain forecast for tomorrow, most parts of the upper region of the island, including Jaffna, Mannar, Anuradhapura and Trincomalee, will experience the sunny weather. But it will be an opposite scenario in the lower region of the island, as many areas including Kandy, Colombo, Galle and Mathura as well as Hambantota will experience showers. That's all from the Weather Centre tonight. Up next is your city by city forecast.
And just a little reminder before we go, right after news, you can catch our program Showbiz Tonight with Mahesh Johnny. So be sure to tune in to know more about this week's latest from the world of entertainment. With that, we'd like to take you to Giza, where an ancient Egyptian tomb which had been hidden away from the public eye for over 80 years had been opened for public recently. The 4,000-year-old tomb of Mehu belonged to a high-ranking official. We hope you enjoy these visuals and have a pleasant evening.
bringing you the news and information 24 hours a day. This is Sri Lanka's premier news channel, Derana 24/7.